are listening to the Space-Tastic Mysteries podcast. We are in week 15 of Anna Gale Line's latest novel, The Lightyears, involving a Mobile Alliance surgical hospital battling an epidemic at the front lines of the Freedom Alliance Crimson Fleet War. This is episode 15, The Gold Flecks. If you have not subscribed, do so now, and if you are on YouTube, hit the bell to be notified of new episodes.
The gold flecks, I determined after studying the soil for close to a half hour, seemed to be rheorbline, a mineral on Kilo 8. I looked from Jake to Drew and back again several times. It is harmless for the most part, but, from the little research I did on it, it is deadly in large amounts, and it is suspected that it can cause this disease. When they just stared at me, trying to open their mouths to speak. I put my hand up and posed. The question then becomes, how were the inhabitants of this planet exposed to the levels of this mineral that is necessary to produce the disease? I twisted my mouth, then continued, and is it possible that it is contagious, thus causing people who visited the planet to catch it from the residents, or were they exposed to the large amounts of it as well? You found all that out with just a little bit of research, Drew remarked, catching my eye. Imagine how much information you could find out if you had longer. What if the island committee actually, Jake wondered, running his fingers through his hair, brings people to the planet to expose them to the disease? What if they knew about the disease, but they purposely brought people to the planet who they deemed their enemies to expose them to the disease? That would be intriguing, but the question is then, why expose their own people to the disease? Like Josh? Either Josh did something to them or it was an accident. If you think about it, Drew chimed in. All the people in captivity were humans, from Earth. Is it possible they have a vendetta against Earth? But why? That is an intriguing prospect as well. What possible reasons could they have to hate all humans? What did we do to them? Do they hate a certain sect of humanoids and decided to kill them all? Or are they targeting certain human sects? Jake prompted, rubbing the kinks in his neck with his knuckles. Since Josh was humanoid, is it possible they didn't realize how it would affect human physiology until he was accidentally exposed? Maybe they knew the disease existed and how to prevent it in their race, I theorized, re-shifting in my chair, but when humans were exposed, it acted differently, causing humans to die. I took a deep breath and then concluded, all this is just speculation at this point. We have to keep digging and find out which one is true, if one of them is true. You are right, Jake agreed. Then flashed me a smile, but you were right. Testing the soil was a good idea. One that is probably going to lead us to the correct answer, and getting us off this forsaken planet. After we solve this, I don't ever want to step foot on this planet again. It only brought me pain. I totally get that. I want to get home to the kids. I want to command my vessel again without fear that these people are going to come after me again. Stefan approached us and announced, "Your sister is here. She brought dinner. She will be up here in a few minutes." I tilted my head, studying him. "Stefan, what is wrong? You don't seem to be yourself." I gasped. "You have it, don't you? The disease?" He shook his head. "Not me, Taylor." I touched his hand and said, "Bring her to me. We will get her on the protocol. That will hold it off until we find a cure. I cannot do life without her," he insisted. "That is why I need you to solve this. Taylor and I have been together since we were in junior high school. Our 5 children have it as well. I don't want to be the only one left of our family." "I get that, but I do have enough on hand to start the protocol on them all. I came prepared, plus I don't know how long we will be here, and well, I have the disease too." "You have it?" I nodded. "Near as I can figure, I got it from Josh." "That makes sense, seeing that you married him. I don't know that I could have done what you did. Marrying someone else to keep the person you love alive. You had 2 kids with Josh, I hear. Charlotte and Spencer. Are those your only children?" I shook my head. "No, I have an older daughter, Zariah. She is Jake and my daughter, and then I took in Adam's 2 boys." "You have a houseful, don't you? Is Zariah why you saved Jake?" "Not just her. I love Jake. We have been each other's, meant to be together, person." He noticed that Brianna stood in the doorway. "I will let you all have food and conversation." When he left, Brianna moved forward, setting out a platter of sandwiches and drinks. "Bria," I greeted her and gestured to Drew. This is Dr. Drew Morgan from Spacebase LVN. He is helping us out because he created the protocol for Latcham's disorder. Join us, doctor. I have brought enough sandwiches for all of us. She pulled out a chair and sat. I think that I have figured out why Mom and Dad have changed. She picked up a sandwich and bit into it. Drew, Brianna is my sister. We are still getting to know each other because we did not grow up together. Alex is going through that too right now. I am not sure if it is worse since they are twins. It is so weird trying to get to know a sister-in-law I didn't know existed for the 20 years Alex and I have been married. He picked up a sandwich as well. Jake and I selected our sandwiches. I looked over at Bria and nodded for her to go on. They have been exposed to high amounts of rheorbline, which is it is the gold flecks in the soil, I revealed, holding her gaze. The mineral we suspect is causing the disease in large amounts. I guess the question is how much does it take of it to make a person's personality change and how much causes them to get infected with this disease. I tilted my head to the side and wondered, how can it do both? How can it make some people change their personality, and give others this disease? I bit into my sandwich as everyone seemed to be mulling over the situation. It is quite evident to me that what I believed before is correct, that it is a man-made disease. Somehow they are using this soil to make people sick. They could somehow be manipulating it, or they have figured out the ratios of how much is going to make a person turn into someone else personality-wise and how much will cause them to get the disease. I am guessing that it is mixed with other items, Jake added, looking over at me, to make the disease. The problem is that we are not going to get anyone on this planet to tell us what is going on because if they do, the island committee will kill them. We ate in silence for a moment. Bria posed. Do you think anyone on this planet knows what is going on? I feel like we were sheltered when we were growing up, probably not to give us opportunity to discover what is really going on around here. I feel like they do that with everyone they capture, which makes me wonder if everyone on this planet is being exposed to it, but that only humans are affected by it. Maybe, Jake returned. We need to know if any of the non-human inhabitants of this planet have been affected by this disease. I don't know if that is possible. The island committee knows every move you make on this planet. Even though we don't still have the tracking devices, I am sure there are people on this planet who do. Now that I think about it, Bria mentioned, I don't remember ever interacting with the non-human inhabitants of this planet, which makes me wonder why. Where are all the non-human ones hiding? I get that we were in captivity, but we were able to go to school, and there were not any non-human people in my classes. I know that I have seen non-human people walking around. You probably did have them in your classes. They are transformers. They are able to take human form in most cases. Bria shook her head. No, you are joking, right? I would know, right? I am not joking, and I don't know that you would. They can hold the position for a long time, until they go to sleep. And they don't sleep but once or twice a week. How do you know this? There are a lot of things you find out when you are married into one of the island committee families. I wonder how much information I could get my hands on if I were to play along with marrying Phil Leap. I will not go through with it, but I wonder if I could string it along until I have the information we need. Jake shook his head. Oh no, I don't know how Nate allows Jessa to do that. Do what? Drew and Bria asked in unison. He is referring to her doing the peacock dance. She gets close to people of the opposite sex to get information. She has never allowed it to cross the line. I turned to Jake and asked, have you met Jessa? I am pretty sure Nate would never step in between her and the peacock dance. After all, she would have to change her codename if he did. Nate is more secure than me, Jake decided, meeting my eyes. I could not stand to see you flirting with another man. I nodded and said with grave deliberation, and that is why I am not going to do it, but I will tell you if push comes to shove. And I need to, we are going to revisit this because he may be the key to knowing what the island committee knows. I am going to leave that option open as a last resort. Jake agreed. I am okay with that because you respected my feelings. We are in a relationship. That means I have to respect you, and you need to respect me. We ate in silence for a few minutes before I heard my comm let chime. Clue Club meeting tomorrow at 0900 hours. It is urgent. I put my thumb to the center of the device and acknowledged, we will be there. I looked to Jake and wondered, why is it urgent? What makes it that way? Jake shrugged his shoulders. I wish we had more to tell them. We did figure out that the soil can make people change personality or be exposed to the disease, that we think it is only the humans that are affected. It looks like it alters the brain once it reaches a certain level, Bria admitted, putting her sandwich to her mouth, so I suspect Mom and Dad are being constantly exposed to it. I questioned, studying her, where are they being held? Maybe we can sneak in and test the air in that room. I felt something sharp touch my back when I turned around. I felt all the energy drain out of me. My knees buckled, sending me to the ground, where I blacked out. Just then I saw Josh, a dark-haired man with rugged features and piercing green eyes, and another man who looked like a younger version of our father, coming toward me. Behind them, a beautiful river that looked like it flowed into this green field that seemed to go on forever. Josh, Adam, where am I? Heaven? You are on the other side of the river of life. You are not to cross over yet, Adam told me. You still have work to do. The answers you are seeking are in this laboratory, in your research. There is a disk with your research on it. It is hidden. Find it and you will find the answers. He looked down, then rose his head to meet my gaze. I know it must be weird to see your dead brother who you never met while I was in a living form in this manner, but we are here to help. We will be your team on the other side. Ari, my wife Ariana, and I want my children with you, to be raised with you. Josh agreed, our children too. I don't want them raised by anyone else but you, and I will accept Jake as the paternal figure in their lives. The chip is right where you left it. That's not helpful, Josh. Her mind is Swiss cheese from being held for so long. He is right, I chimed in. Josh put his hands on my shoulders and looked into my eyes. You have to remember because something else is where you left it and needs you to rescue it. You have to find it. It is where you spend the most time. I shook my head. I don't know. I have no idea where I used to spend the most time here. Like Adam stated, my memory is not good when it comes to this place. You know exactly where I am talking about. You dream about it. I gave him a dismissive wave and turned to Adam. What happened to me? These people did something desperate, unfortunately. If you don't find a cure soon, these people just signed your death sentence. You have a year at the most because they injected you with more of this epidemic, quadruple the amount you had in your system. They are trying to prevent you from finding out the truth. The disc will lead you to the truth. Any clue where I put it? Adam shook his head. He kissed my forehead, then whispered, Big sister, it is time for you to go back. The cocktail of drugs will stop working in 3 months for you. Solve this by then. Then suddenly I heard the gulping of the intravenous drip, and the humming of the dyane monitor. I inched my eyes open, looking at the people gathered around the foot of my bed. Someone injected me with quadruple the amount of the epidemic disease to stop us from finding out the truth, I whispered, looking at the people at the foot of the bed turn to see me. We have 3 months to solve this because the cocktail of drugs will stop working for me in 3 months because of the increased amount of the disease in my system. Jake met my gaze and asked, How do you know that without looking at a dyane monitor? I saw Adam and Josh. They told me at the river of life. They would not permit me to cross the river because I had work to do. You saw your dead brother and husband? Jessa sees dead people in her dreams that give her information. Alex sees dead people in her dreams that give her information. Zebby sees dead people in her dreams that give her information. Their dreams are always 100% accurate.
If you would like to learn more about Anna Gale or to purchase her fiction and nonfiction books, go to AnnaGaleLines.com. That is AnnaGaleLines.com. Right now you can buy 3 ebooks and get the 4th one free. There you can sign up for the newsletter to keep up to date on what is happening in the world of the Anna Gale Lines podcast, where she inspires people to take control of their lives, and her science fiction podcast, the Space-Tastic Mysteries podcast. To follow her on social media, it is Anna Gale Lines on Twitter, Lady Anna Gale on TikTok, Anna Gale Lines Artist on Instagram, at the Anna Gale Lines podcast on YouTube. You can join the Facebook page at Author Anna Gale. Thank you for listening and thank you for being you.